Good morning. My name is Donna Marie Collins. I'm the hearing examiner that will be presiding over this morning's hearing, which is a rezoning plan development in North Fort Myers. The applicant will present the details of the case during their presentation. All testimony and evidence that I accept during these hearings are taken in under oath. Therefore, if you intend on speaking on the record, I ask that you please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony and evidence you place into the record will be the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. I'm ready.
Ma'am, if I may just interrupt to give you the affidavit of publication.
Okay, thank you
Was
very much.
advertised.
This is Staff Exhibit 2. Staff Exhibit 1 was the staff report.
Good morning, Madam Hearing Examiner. For your record, Richard Aiken of Henderson Franklin here this morning on behalf of the applicant, which is Lee County Electric Co-op on DCI 2024-00036. Before I begin, I've got a couple of items to give you. I've got a copy of the applicant's 48-hour letter, which was provided. It notes that there are no disagreements with the staff report. We did provide an updated master concept plan, which the staff report asked us to do to clarify a couple issues. I also have a copy of our PowerPoint for you, as well as the master concept plan that was included with the 48-hour letter. I actually have a full size and an 11 by 17 for you.
All right, let's take that in and we'll mark them. The 48-hour letter will be applicant Exhibit 1. This is the revised master concept plan.
That is correct. And then there's a larger version of the same thing.
Applicant Exhibit 2 is the revised master concept plan. I'm going to make the enlarged Exhibit 3. And
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Exhibit 4.
I also just have extra copies of both for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
And you'll note that the extra copy of the PowerPoint that I handed you is in grayscale because that's how I could get the printer to do it. So,
That's okay.
okay. All right, so good morning once again. We're here this morning with our project team. Linda Miller is our project planner with Avalon Engineering. Mark Errol is the project engineer. He's got a brief presentation on the stormwater management. He's with Avalon as well. Mr. Errol, I think, has been accepted as an expert here in Lee County before. We talked about that this morning, but he does have a copy of his resume since it's been some time, just to clarify.
Have you testified before Amanda, or did you testify before me?
It was not, I don't believe it was before you, and it was several years ago.
Okay, well then we'll go over his background and get him classified.
Very good, thank you. We also have Yuri Baikal, who has a traffic slide for you. Paul Owen is our environmental consultant. Paul's not here this morning. There are really no environmental issues on this, so we told him he didn't have to come. So just briefly, we'll talk about the parcel information. You can see on your right-hand side of the screen, the parcel that's the subject of the PD request today is outlined in light blue. It's 3.3 acres. It's located at the corner of Electric Lane and East Mariana Avenue. It's in North Fort Myers, as you noted, currently zoned CPD and CFPD and RS1. The future land use is public facilities and central urban. And so the amalgamation of zoning there was a prior zoning, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but the only piece that's RS1 is actually going to be this little corner piece right down here on the corner of East Mariana and Electric. And the reason for that is that, so the rest of this was already previously subject to a rezoning. This last little piece was a residential lot, and Lee County Electric Co-op acquired that last lot in, I believe it was 2022, and so we're just including that as part of this rezoning cleanup. The rest of it has already been rezoned to allow these.
I was the hearing examiner on the last one. It was a long time ago.
I believe you were. It was in 2013. It was approved by the board in 2014, and I believe Mr. Schropp did that one. So.
Okay.
So as indicated, it's in North Fort Myers. The parcel is also in the North Fort Myers planning community. Briefly, here's a zoning slide in front of you, and I had, anticipating some members of the public, I was going to go through some history of the various parcels. I'll abbreviate a little bit for you just so you have some background here. So as you'll notice, up here at the very top of the screen, there's a building. This is the Lee County Electric Co-op main headquarters. It's been there since 1940. It's changed size a little bit. It's currently going through and has over the last several years gone through a pretty massive renovation to bring it up to current standards as the co-op grows, and there's just a lot more members due to the population growth in the area. This parcel over here, that's the light industrial parcel, has also been owned by LCEC as far back as I can tell in the record, so probably since about 1940, the same time. This has also been, I'll say, redeveloped. It's always been their main service garage for their vehicles and things like that. They've just recently renovated all this to kind of bring it up to standards and not only improve the way it looks, but improve the functionality of it. Property down here to the south of East Mariana is light industrial zoning. There's a laydown yard for some poles and other equipment down there. That's been owned by the co-op since 1973, so it's been in its current state for quite some time with a few changes. As I mentioned, over here on the west side of Electric Lane, you have this main CPD parcel right here, and has been owned by the co-op since 1969. It was acquired and has been used as some storage for various things at various different times. It was part of the 2013 rezoning that allowed and legitimized some of those uses on that property. This CFPD parcel that fronts on East Mariana was acquired by the cooperative in '87 and was part of that prior rezoning. And then the CFPD parcel to the north on Electric Lane here that I'm highlighting in blue. So those were several different lots that were acquired at several different times by the electric co-op, beginning in 1984. They acquired one of them in '84, one of them in '86, and one of them in 1990. They've all been combined into one strap. And then finally, we have this RS1 parcel that's on the corner of East Mariana and Electric Lane. That's the parcel that was acquired by the co-op in 2022. It was the last remaining. There was a vacant house that had sat there for some time and now has, I believe, been torn down, but it's owned by the cooperative now. And so we're bringing that into this rezoning to just kind of clean everything up. So the request is to rezone 0.3 acres from CFPD, which is Community Facilities Plan Development, to CPD, to rezone 0.27 acres from RS1, that's the corner lot that I just pointed out, to CPD. We're asking for approval of the master concept plan to establish development parameters and a schedule of uses, obviously, and then we're replacing the resolution Z13028, which rezoned a lot of, most of everything but that RS1 parcel, it rezoned. So we're replacing that, bringing the new parcel in, cleaning up some things, doing some additional landscaping.
So can we go back to the prior slide so I can understand what's going to be after the rezoning? After the rezoning, the two southern parcels are going to be CPD?
Correct. Yes. Make sure.
And the large parcel is going to remain CPD?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes,
And then the CFPD is going to remain CFPD?
that's correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
All right, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Linda Miller, who's our project planner, to go through the details. That is, unless you have any other questions of me.
No, I don't, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Linda Miller, Vice President of Avalon Engineering and Certified Planner for this zoning case. I'm requesting to be recognized as an expert witness. My credentials are on file, and I've been recognized as an expert witness in similar zoning amendments.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you. The future land use of the parcel is central urban and public facilities. All of the Lee County Electric Co-op's parcels on Electric Lane and Mariana Avenue have the same land use for the project site. All other adjacent properties have a future land use of central urban. This is the master concept plan for the development. As you can see, we have a 6,000 square foot building. The building is actually a metal building, and it's more of a garage to store a piece of equipment. It's a mobile transformer, and what that does, it allows Lee County Electric to take that to an area that has lost its substation and be able to provide power. It's a very expensive piece of equipment, so they need to screen that piece of equipment. and they're doing that in that 6,000 square foot building. The only thing in the CFPD zoning area would be that building and access and circulation and stormwater improvements and landscaping.
So wait, let me see if I understand this now. So this is the northern parcel, and that building is on the northern parcel.
There's a little piece of the building that actually falls into the CFPD.
Right, I see that,
commercial,
yeah.
But the rest of it is here is the community facility.
So that's on the, mainly on the CFPD parcel?
Yes.
A little overhang into the CPD?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So the site consists of one strap number, has one address, 1611 Electric Lane. The open space area totals 38.3% of the site, a 6,000 square foot metal building. 99,316 is the remaining portion of the property that will be used for open storage, circulation, a dumpster, gates, and entrances. The site improvements include 3 driveways and an 8-foot high wall with gates around the entire perimeter of the site, stormwater facility improvements, and new landscaping. We did submit a landscaping plan from a landscape architect. That plan includes all of the trees and shrubs required, the buffer yard, type C around the western property line and along Mariana Avenue, an A-type buffer between the 2 commercial uses to the north, and then the regular right-of-way buffer area D along Electric Lane. We have 164 trees on the site.
Okay, so west is the lower portion, is that correct?
That's correct. We also are replacing some larger trees that were on the site with the single-family homes that have been removed when we removed the single-family homes, and we have 12 of those in the stormwater area.
So you saved them and moved them?
No, we had to replace them.
Oh, you had to replace them, okay.
Yes, ma'am. We're asking for 2 deviations. The first deviation is to Code Section 33-1573C2. It requires commercial developments adjacent to commercial, mixed-use, or multifamily developments. They must provide interconnection for a bicycle, an automobile, and pedestrian traffic. We're requesting this deviation so that we do not have to provide an interconnection to the property to the north. That would be the only connection that's required, is to the property to the north. And the property to the north of this site, right abutting this site, is the parking lot for Lee County Electric staff. And in that parking lot, we have submitted for a development order to add a wall in there with other additional landscaping. That will be an enclosed development, and ours will be an enclosed development. Staff
That'll
is,
keep it secure from access through the parking lot?
yes. So this particular facility is very limited for access. Only select Lee County employees have access to this facility, access to the transformer, access to the equipment that's being stored there. So they would like this to be a secured facility for select Lee County staff only, Lee County Electric staff only.
Yeah, and if I may, just briefly, so part of the reason for that security is, the mobile substation facility truly is a facility. It's like a substation on wheels that they can take and use, not only if there's like a storm event where something goes down, but it's also while they're doing maintenance work. And the security of that, so that nobody tampers with it, it's just a very, they want to make sure that in the event they need to use that device or any of the other equipment that's in the yard, it doesn't get tampered with, which could potentially cause outages or other issues for potentially thousands of people, depending on where it would be.
So Lee County staff approved that deviation request. Our second deviation is for Lee County Development Code 10-620A through E, design standards and guidelines for commercial buildings. Since this building will be sitting on the commercial, a little bit portion of the commercial zoning within this development, it requires to have architectural elements on the building. And because this building is really a metal storage building, we requested that we don't have to meet those requirements, and staff has agreed that we have an 8-foot wall around the outside of this perimeter. The building height is only 30 feet, so very.
Wall or fence?
It's a wall.
And all the driveways are gated?
All the driveways are gated, yes, ma'am. Those are the only two deviations. Originally, we had a few deviations approved in the original resolution, but this is replacing that, so we're requesting just two deviations.
I think in the other one, you were like repurposing single-family homes too, so that had to do with extra driveways and things of that.
It did have a couple extra driveways because those single-family homes were still in existence.
Okay.
As required by Section 10-104B, we're required to address justifications for our deviations, and there's 5 of them. The first one is the alternative proposed to the standards contained herein is based on sound engineering practices. The facility is secured with access only by Lee County Electric staff. Connection to the parking lot to the north is not necessary or desired by Lee County Electric. The request for the deviation to the building design standards is necessary to protect the mobile transformer, which will be housed in the building. Number 2 is the alternative is no less consistent with the health, safety, and welfare of the budding landowners and the general public. And we feel like the 8-foot-high wall that is replacing an existing fence on the site right now that surrounds the property will improve the appearance. Also, we are adding several trees along that western buffer side, inside of the wall and outside of the wall, so you have 2 different layers of landscaping. Actually provides more screening that currently exists on the site.
Okay, so you're providing the criteria for an administrative deviation of variance.
Oh, you know what?
But
we
this
had
is a
in the
zoning-
packet. We probably don't need this.
Right, the bar's a lot lower in the zoning context.
Well, we met this one too, but that's good. So the next slide was.
Has to enhance your
the next one.
development and not cause a detriment to public health, safety, and welfare.
Yes, and so we're doing that. We're enhancing the development and we're protecting the equipment and the site. So we're consistent with the community review. The applicant held a public advertised information session with the North Fort Myers Planning Board as required by Lee County. There was a motion of no objection, and the minutes are included in the public record. And since Paul's not here, Paul Owen did go out there and do a complete protected species report and environmental report, and there's no listed species on the site. And there also, we had South Florida Water Management come out and walk the site as part of their application process for a South Florida Water Management amendment, and there's no wetlands on the site, and they've noted that in their report.
Okay.
And I'd like to bring up Yuri from TR Transportation to go over transportation.
Seems like the master concept plan is incorporating water retention, stormwater management that did not exist before. So that has to be an improvement, I would think.
Yes, it is.
We'll get to you.
Thank you.
Good morning. For the record, Yuri Baika with TR Transportation Consultants. I've been sworn in and previously accepted as an expert in transportation planning and would like to be accepted as one today as well.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Due to interest of time, I'm going to keep it simple, just like this rezoning application, for which we prepared a very simple traffic impact statement. The traffic impact statement we prepared was based on 6,000 square feet of indoor storage area and 99,316 square feet of open storage area. And the previous zoning on this property, which was approved under zoning resolution Z13-026, actually approved 5,262 square feet of indoor storage and 73,370 square feet of outdoor storage. So the table here shows the difference in traffic for the proposed zoning and the approved zoning. And as you can see on the bottom line, the total trip generation difference is very minimal between what was previously approved to what we're proposing with our rezoning request.
So it's a reduction overall?
No, it's a slightly increase. If you don't see a negative number on the bottom line, that means it's actually plus.
Increase. Okay,
Increase,
I
yeah. So it's
see.
plus 3 trips during AM peak hour overall, plus 4 trips in the PM peak hour overall, and overall in daily trips it's plus 39.
A low traffic generation by any measure.
Very low, yes. It's one of the lowest traffic generating uses in IT trip generation manual. And so then we also prepare our typical link level service analysis. We analyze US 41, which is a state roadway within the vicinity of the subject site. It was shown to operate level service C both with and without the project traffic and the future traffic conditions. And then we also analyze SR 78, which is another FDOT arterial, and actually shown to operate at a poor level of service, but it was shown to operate at poor level of service regardless of this project. So there's a small typo over here. It says level of service C, that's actually level of service F. It's a future pre-existing traffic deficiency that this project is not responsible for mitigating. So I apologize for that small typo. And so that's all we had to prepare at this time for this traffic impact statement. We still have to go through development order process. We'll do a more detailed traffic study that will analyze the need for any turn lane improvements at the project access points.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mark Corral with Avalon Engineering, and I'd like to request to be recognized as an expert witness.
Okay, so Mark, what you can do to help me is to give me a brief overview of your educational background and your work experience, and then focus on your experience working with Lee County land development regulations.
May I provide you a copy of his
Yes,
resume?
please. Thank you.
All right, starting with education, I graduated from Florida Gulf Coast University in 2017 with a bachelor's in civil engineering. And since then, I've been working in the field since May of 2017, specifically in the Tri-County area, mainly with the focus in Lee County. I have my licensure as a professional engineer in the state of Florida since 2022. I've done a variety of different types of projects in Lee County and have worked with Lee County review staff for the majority of those 7 years. For at least 6 of those 7 years in a project management style role. So I'm very familiar with the Lee County Land Development Code. Many of the projects have been from commercial, some residential, and industrial, all throughout, different corridors here in the county.
Okay, thank you very much. I will accept you as an expert in the land development code and civil engineering in general.
Great, thank you. All right, to discuss the stormwater for this project specifically, you did mention that you see retention as an improvement on the site, and that is accurate. So the site was originally all within a master stormwater system that does exist over a large portion of land in this area, including portions of the electric lane right-of-way and Mariana Avenue. However, to meet new stormwater requirements for South Florida, which includes things like nutrient loading, we actually treated the site almost as its own bermed off area for its own attenuation to ensure that we meet the retention volumes that are now necessary, and to ensure that even beyond and above, we're retaining and attenuating more water on our site without allowing it to discharge. Discharge is sent through a control structure as is standard procedure into the existing stormwater system, which is then treated further in the lake to the south that's in LCEC's headquarter property. But like I said, it's almost as if we were discharging into a regular right-of-way. LCEC has a little bit more than the average stormwater requirements when it comes to finished floor elevations, so they use the 500-year storm instead of the standard 100-year, so we meet that as well. And our berm of the 25-year berm is above and beyond what was originally in the master stormwater system as well.
And why is that?
Part of the reason it made it easier is because of South Florida's new rules for nutrient loading, you have to retain so much water on the site. So, and there was one property that was in the permit area, but was never really dictated as part of the permit, which is that residential. So when we included it, we said, well, let's just treat it all as its own. That way we don't have to go through a more complicated procedure of remodeling the entire thing, and it's a more conservative approach. And since we have the land available for it, LCEC was fine with that, especially since they need higher stage storage elevations for their structure, which could technically affect your stages, but overall the existing grades are pretty similar to the proposed, and if anything, it's just an improvement across the board.
So is there impervious on this? And I note where it says gravel yard, is the rest impervious paving?
Yeah, so if you see anywhere where it's like that gray hatch, that is all pavement, and then everything else is gravel.
I see.
For purposes of stormwater analysis, we treat gravel as impervious. especially since over the years, you have all this heavy equipment that drives over it and stores on it, and it gets
Right.
compacted. So the district doesn't really accept gravel as a pervious
So
pavement
you
solution.
designed the stormwater system to handle all the runoff from the site, treating the whole thing as impervious. So it'll store it for the necessary time and then bleed it off.
Yeah, it's like a dual system, so it's retention for a certain amount of staging, and then after a certain retention volume, which is for water quality purposes, then it can bleed off through an orifice as normally allowed.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed a lot on the landscaping plan, a lot of the trees and plants and stuff are within these areas. Right?
Yes, yeah, they're dry retention systems, so
Yeah.
they recover within 72 hours. And the trees that are specified, I haven't verified myself, but they should be, water resilient trees.
Okay,
They
thank
can
you.
handle a couple inches.
No questions.
All right, great, thank you.
So the last couple of slides are consistency with the Lee plan, and we are consistent with many of the Lee County's goals, policies, and objectives as provided in the staff report and our letter of request. I'd just like to highlight a few of them. Policy 1.13 and 1.18 of the zoning requested is consistent with the central urban and the central urban future land use and the public facilities future land use. So our zoning districts are consistent with those two land uses. Policy 2.1.3, the proposed use in essential service facility is consistent with the central urban and the public facilities future land use. Policy 2.2.1 and policy 4.1.1 and 4.1.2 talk about utilities. So we have utilities available from Lee County for water and FGUA for sewer. But this facility was not providing any type of needs for water or sewer. There's no restrooms, there's nothing like that. The well will provide water for the plant area. A well will provide water. But it is available to us, and in the future, if they wanted to modify this permit and ask for that, there is water and sewer available. Reuse water is not available to the site. Next part of the look at the Lee plan is protection of the existing future residential areas. We have worked with staff and came up with an 8-foot high wall that will enclose the property. A type C buffer will be provided along the western side and along Mariana, type D along the roadway. This will really improve the screening of the residential area. 6.1.1 is a complete review of commercial development, and we've submitted all the documentations required to meet that standard. 6.1.3 plan development requirement. Because we're rezoning to commercial, we went through the PD process, which is designed to help us look at compatibility with the neighbors. Our last one is consistent with 17.3, public input. We had a meeting with the North Fort Myers planning community, and we also are going through the PD process, which allows for public input. Goal 30, North Fort Myers planning community. We've looked at all the requirements of the North Fort Myers planning community, and we'll have those requirements when part of our DO. Surface water management, goal 60 and 61, protection of water sources. As Mark mentioned, it's a permitting process through South Florida Water Management, which we're in the process of obtaining that permit. And that ends my presentation. I'll turn it back to Richard.
So the only thing we have left is our summary slide here. In conclusion, we would request a recommendation of approval. We believe that it complies with the Lee plan. It's compatible with the existing and the planned uses. As indicated earlier, we're only adding the one parcel to the PD that's on the corner and is already surrounded by other CFPD and CPD parcels. The access issue has been addressed, and I did note in the 48-hour letter that we did remove a couple of deviations that had been previously included regarding access. So we worked through that with staff, so we're good with all that. You heard about the transportation impacts from Uri, and they're not a significant or a negative impact. They do not negatively impact the level of service in the roadway network. The proposed use is appropriate in this location as it's surrounded by the other existing uses by Lee County Electric Co-op, and the buffering is appropriate to buffer it from the adjacent residential uses that exist to the west. And then the staff report recommends approval. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thank you. Mary Sue?
Good morning, Madam Hearing Examiner. Mary Sue Groth, Senior Planner for the Zoning Section, presenting case DCI 2024-00036 for the LCEC Mobile Substation Storage Facility. I've been sworn as an expert witness in this forum and wish to do so again today. Thank
Yes.
you. I do have a copy of my PowerPoint for
This
you.
will be Staff Exhibit 3. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start with the request and applicant's request and recommendation from staff. Avalon Engineering Incorporated, on behalf of LCEC, has filed an application to rezone. The property is located at 1611, 1627, 1639, 1645, 1651 Electric Lane, and 144 East Mariana Avenue. These are going from CFPD and CPD and RS1 to CFPD and CPD. The applicant is proposing the development of a 6,000 square foot enclosed storage building, a portion of which is in the CFPD portion, and open storage and closed storage within the CPD. The applicant has requested 3 new deviations from the Land Development Code in addition to the 3 existing deviations approved in Resolution Z
Right,
dash.
we're down to just 2 now, right?
That's correct. Yes, I'll go over that
All right.
as we move on.
All right.
Thank you. A little background on the property. It does reside in the public facilities and central urban future land use categories. And collectively, the properties are zoned residential, RS1, CFPD, and CPD. The subject property did consist of 6 trap numbers, which were combined into 1 strap number in October of 2024, according to the Lee County Property Appraiser. And they do reside in the North Fort Myers Community Plan area, south of Bayline Drive, east of Daniels, and north of East Mariana Avenue. Surrounding uses, properties north of the subject property are zoned RS1, C2, and further north is another CPD. Beyond Bayline Drive are properties zoned CC, abutting Bayshore Road to the north. And then Southlands to the south of the subject property are zoned IL. Those are also owned by LCEC. Land directly east of the subject property on Electric Lane are zoned C2 and IL, also owned by Lee County Electric Co-op. And adjacent to those properties are RS1 zone districts that consist of single-family residences. And then west are also zoned RS1. Little bit of the parcel history that Mr. Aiken covered quite well. The resolution Z-13-028 rezoned 1.71 acres from RS1 to CPD and 1.32 acres from RS1 to CFPD. A maximum of 5,262 square feet of indoor storage was authorized on the property zoned CFPD, and a maximum of 73,370 square feet of outdoor storage was authorized on the property zoned CPD. So covering Lee Plan LDC Section 34-145, the following slides will demonstrate further how the applicant has met the listed criteria for the hearing examiner to approve. So beginning with the Lee Plan compliance, as we previously stated, the parcel is located in the central urban future land use category and the public facilities category. Policy 1.1.3 describes central urban future land use as the urban core of the county, already having the greatest range and highest levels of public service. proposed amendment increases the boundary area of the PD and amends the master concept plan to expand the existing equipment storage and a public, for Lee County Electric Co-op, which is already a public facility within this future land use category. And then policy 1.1.8 describes the public facilities future land use area as publicly owned lands within the county, such as public schools, parks, airports, public transportation, et cetera. And LCEC is an essential services provider whose use is encouraged in this future land use. For objective 2.1 of the Lee Plan, promotes contiguous and compact growth to contain urban sprawl. Proposed CPD will allow infill redevelopment that promotes compact growth patterns. Objective 2.2 and 2.2.1 discuss new growth in future urban areas where adequate public facilities exist or are assured. The property is located along the two-lane state-maintained arterial road of Bayshore Road. Existing infrastructure of water and sewer is in place, and utilities are available to the site. Adequate public facilities include fire, EMS, solid waste, public transit, public schools, and parks. For Lee Plan Policies 4.1.1 and 4.1.2, the applicant has provided the letter of availability from Lee County Utilities stating lines are in operation adjacent to the property, and it presently does have capacity to serve the site. They've also provided the letter of availability from FGUA that confirms sanitary sewer lines are in operation. The applicant has, as we know, indicated the facility will not require the potable water or wastewater service, as there won't be any facilities on the site. For 4.1.4 on environmental, the applicant did provide the required protected species survey and associated environmental maps. Environmental staff completed historical research of the property pertaining to vegetation and clearing, and completed a site inspection to confirm species and plant communities. There are some recommended conditions that I will discuss in a moment on that. Objective 5.1.5 of the Lee Plan requires protection to existing and future residential areas from any encroachment of uses that are potentially destructive to the character of the residential environment. The LDC does provide buffer setback screening and architectural requirements to minimize negative impacts associated with commercial uses abutting residential neighborhoods. As we know, the applicant is providing type D buffering in a proposed 8-foot tall wall that will be installed within the buffer to sufficiently screen the development. A type C buffer is proposed along the southern property line adjacent to the residential lots and provides for that additional compatibility. Development does not introduce any destructive uses to the surrounding residential neighborhoods. So for goal 6 of the Lee Plan, that seeks to permit orderly and well-planned commercial development at appropriate locations within the county. The property is located in the North Fort Myers Community Plan area, and the request will facilitate the expansion of existing essential services. The applicant did provide the required traffic impact statement that they've talked about. It indicated there is sufficient roadway capacity projected to accommodate the anticipated development, and no roadway capacity improvements would be warranted as a result of this additional expansion. Access to the properties will be facilitated through 2 connections from Electric Lane and via a single connection from East Mariana Avenue. Lee County DOT did provide a transportation-related analysis that noted the proposed project generates less than 100 trips per hour, and the roadways and intersections level of service analysis are not required according to the Administrative Code AC-13-17. This fulfills policy 6.1.1. The applicant provided a landscape plan, stated an adequate landscaping and buffering will be provided at time of development pursuant to 6.1.2, 6.1.3, and 6.1.5. and urban services such as potable water, sanitary sewer, fire, EMS, and police are available to serve the site that fulfills policy 6.1.4. For goal 30 for the North Fort Myers planning community, as we stated, the property is located in North Fort Myers community plan area. Goal of that is to improve the livability and economic vitality in North Fort Myers. The applicant's request to amend the existing PD, expanding the size of the existing LCEC facility, will provide additional space for product distribution in order to serve the community's electrical power needs. For water quality, goals 60 and 61, the development is part of a master stormwater system for the facilities along Electric Lane, fulfilling goal 60 to protect or improve the quality of receiving waters in surrounding natural areas. Goal 61 of the Lee Plan is to protect the county's water resources through application of innovative and sound methods of surface water management. Applicant has indicated the development will require a modification to the Swift Mud permit, and stormwater will be retained on site. So the applicant held the required public information meeting on October 29th, 2024, and provided the required documentation summarizing the meeting in compliance with LDC section 33-1532. And the applicant had requested 3 new deviations from Lee County Land Development Code in addition to the 3 existing deviations approved in Resolution Z13028. Deviation 1 from Z13028, staff had recommended that we withdraw that, and the applicant requested withdrawal of deviations 2 and 3 from Resolution Z13028. Deviation 1 was approved for relief from LDC Section 10285 that pertained to connection separation dealing with residential driveways, and that's no longer applicable. And then deviation 2 and 3 pertain to screening and buffering, which this application is now updating. So deviation 4, the applicant had requested relief from LDC Section 3417-48-5, which requires a paved turnaround, having a turning radius sufficient to accommodate a U-turn for a single unit truck vehicle as specified in AASHTO Green Book, that must be provided on the ingress side of the gate or gatehouse. They asked us to allow them the 2 gated driveways located on Electric Lane for entrance and exit of the facility. Staff did recommend withdrawal of this. There is an ordinance that I've put on your screen here, Ordinance 25-09, has provided an administrative waiver process to accomplish the requested deviation, and an additional relief that was not requested by the applicant that will probably be applicable to this project. So the relief requested from LDC Section 3417-48 would only address the required paved turnaround, while the location of the access gates does appear to meet the section setback, vehicle stacking, and auxiliary lane requirements. So this is just something that's more appropriate to be addressed at time of development order. So deviation 5, which is now deviation 1, seeks relief from LDC Section 33-1573C2, which requires commercial development adjacent to commercial, mixed-use, or multifamily developments to provide interconnections for automobile, bicycle, and pedestrian traffic. They've asked us to allow no interconnection to the property to the north. The parking lot is maintained and utilized by LCEC staff only, as demonstrated by the applicant, and staff did recommend approval of this deviation. And then deviation 6, which is now deviation 2 on the master concept plan, seek relief from LDC section 10-620A through E for design standards and guidelines for commercial buildings. As the applicant stated, the proposed indoor storage primarily is on the CFPD portion of the property, and the architectural standards are really only applicable to the CPD portion. And since it's such a small portion of the building and they are providing the buffering and enhanced landscaping in the walls, staff has recommended approval on that as well. So for compatibility with existing and planned uses, it's, as we know, located within a public facilities and central urban future land use. And as established by Lee Plan, and the Lee County Electric Co-op is an essential services provider whose use is encouraged in these future land use categories. And they do have a very limited schedule of uses on both the properties. Access to the properties, as we know, will be facilitated through 2 connections from Electric Lane and Mariana Avenue, and sufficient support that provides sufficient support for access to the development. The applicant also provided the required TIS as they demonstrated, and Lee County DOT provided the transportation-related analysis, noting the proposed project will generate 10 weekday AM peak hour trips and 16 weekday PM peak hour trips. And since the project generates less than 100 trips per hour, the roadways and intersection level of service are not required. Staff completed the site inspection to confirm the site conditions that are reflected on the protected species report and the history of the site. Determined there was no evidence of protected species or rare and unique upland, as reflected on that provided protected species report. Environmental staff also provided a report that was included in the staff report. They did discuss open space. The project is 2.03 acres of impervious and is therefore considered a large development. Large commercial projects are required to provide 30% open space. The applicant is providing 38.3% open space, so we have recommended condition that prior to the issuance of DO, the development order plans must depict that 38.3% open space, or 1.26 acres. For indigenous open space, LDC section 10-415B requires large developments must be providing 50% of the open space through on-site preservation of existing native vegetation, but there were no existing native vegetation on site, so none will be required. And then the buffers, we have conditioned all of the buffers. Buffers to the north, abutting the commercial zone district, require a type A buffer. To the south, abuts a right-of-way from East Mariana Avenue and the residential RS1 zone district. So the proposed commercial uses abutting existing residential uses must provide either type C or type F buffers. And to the east line abuts the right-of-way for Electric Lane. So a 15-foot wide buffer is going to be required along the right-of-way. And to the west, where the property abuts a RS1 zone district, will require a type C or a type F. So staff recommended that prior to issuance of development order, the development order plans must depict all of those buffer requirements on the master concept plan, or on the site plans, I said. So the property is serviced by LCU and FGA, as we already established, and the North Fort Myers Fire and Rescue, and the Lee County Sheriff's Department, in addition to public transit and schools and parks. And it is also, again, located within the public facilities and central urban future land use as established by Lee Plan, and the Lee County Electric Co-op is an essential services provider whose use is encouraged in the FLUs. The applicant's provided master concept plan is compatible with the surrounding area, and the limited schedule of uses and recommended conditions will protect the public's interest as it relates to impacts generated by the request. And the deviations enhance the achievement of the objectives of the plan development and preserve and promote the general intent of this code to protect the public health, safety, and welfare.
So the deviations have been renumbered, right?
That's correct on the new master concept plan, yes, ma'am. And in conclusion, the request does meet the review criteria established in LDC section 34-145, and staff does recommend approval of the applicant's request with conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I want to thank everyone for a comprehensive presentation, and staff staff report. I felt well prepared for the hearing. I've been past the site, but I will go back now that we've had the hearing so I can put a closer look on everything. I have more perspective now, and I hope to get a recommendation out in the next week or two. Thank you.